The Singapore Bird Paradise. The Singapore Bird Park was formerly in Jurong, but it has now been relocated to a completely new place. I love nature and birds in particular, so I was delighted to make the trip with my granddaughter. The park has 8 types of walks, with aviaries from different habitats of the world and hundreds of bird species. The first of these was the Crimson Wetlands Aviary. This was housed under a huge net canopy which is hardly visible to the naked eye. Here, many birds found in the marshy and wet regions flew about freely without noticing that they were not actually free. They could fly about as they wished and hardly notice the humans who were also housed along with them in the huge cage. First thing that struck the eye was a massive waterfall which looked completely real. Colorful birds, scarlet and red-green macaws, scarlet ibis, rose-colored spoonbills, and bright orange American flamingos were flying about or delicately stepping through the marshy land. Next, the aviary known as the Heart of Africa was the largest, with many bridges overlooking forest streams. Here it was possible to find 80 different African bird species. Many were brilliantly colored, but there were also some grey parrots and black crowned cranes. We went at feeding time, and the birds swooped down and perched on our shoulders. They were bathing, playing, eating, and acting in a most delightful fashion, which you would never have seen in an ordinary forest. Next on our list was the Wings of Asia aviary. The Australian pelican, different types of beautiful hornbills, spoonbills, long-legged storks, and all sorts of other birds of Asia could be seen wading through paddy fields. The enormous enclosure was far above them, and so they could also fly around if they wanted to. The Amazonian jewels aviary had some delightful species like the golden parakeet, saffron toucanet, and chestnut-eared aracari. Of course, all sorts of doves and pigeons were also to be found in plenty. One of the most charming aviaries were made of the singing birds of Asia. I really wished I could decipher the different types of chirps and songs, but I really couldn't spot which bird was singing which song. Here we saw the coquettish Victoria crowned pigeon, barley myna, and straw-headed bulbul. Another very cute specimen that we spotted creeping about in the bush was a tiny mouse deer. It was only as big as a big rat and was terribly frightened of coming into the open. It was always hiding under some plant. Next came the lorry loft aviary. This was filled with the most colorful lories and parrots. Lories are types of parrots actually. They are not at all shy, so we got very close to them and watched them bathe, eat, etc. Many of them very happy to perch on our wrists if we chose to feed them. Next, we came to the mysterious region of Papua. This island is supposed to house many magnificent specimens of birds, not to be found anywhere else in the world. There are big birds like the cassowary, smaller birds like the Nicobar pigeon, and critically endangered birds like the white cockatoo and the blue-eyed cockatoo. It was getting quite hot, but we were determined to go to all the aviaries. The Australian outback aviary has the emu, which is different from the ostrich and is the second largest living bird in the world. You can also see and hear the laughing kookaburras. The tawny frog mouth was carefully camouflaged on a branch, and many sweet small wallabies. They were very shy, and it took a lot of patience to get a photo of one of them. They looked like something like small kangaroos. The next and most impressive was the icy waters of the penguins. They were housed in a multi-level indoor ocean which had blocks of ice floating on top. There were many types of penguins, king penguin, Humboldt penguin, and many smaller varieties. They were all swimming around and having a gay time. Some of them would dive into the water and come close to us, and it almost looked as if they were playing with us. Apart from all this, we were able to see 2 wonderful bird shows. One was the predator birds and the other was the birds in flight. These 2 events take place in a huge amphitheater. It also has a massive digital screen on which is projected all that was going on the ground. This allowed you to have a very close view of the birds. We went first for the predator on wings. Here the stars were birds of prey like hawks, eagles, vultures, etc. The helpers would call and they would swoop down from the heights and grab something kept for them. It was quite exciting. We were lucky to see another show called The Wings of the World, where many smaller types of birds would fly in huge batches across the amphitheater. It was a very beautiful sight. They had also called the flamingos to take a walk through the ground. It was a breathtaking sight to see these elegant birds tiptoeing their way across the field. Actually, that was the end of our show on that day, and I returned home feeling very grateful to the Singapore authorities, who had to be really congratulated in creating such a lifelike and beautiful place for so many wonderful birds from all over the world, which we would never have had an opportunity to see in our lives.